Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb here. If you've walked past a bookstore or scrolled through, Instagram anytime in the last 5 years, you have seen the book we're looking at today.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the beige one, little dots on it, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
It's unavoidable.
Yeah.
I think it's become like the standard issue manual for getting your life together.
It really has. And I'll be honest, when we first pulled this for the show, I had a little bit of that bestseller fatigue. You think, okay, great, another guy telling me to make my bed and I'll be a billionaire. But then I started digging into the actual research behind it.
Right. Not just the book.
Not just the book, but the studies he cites, and even some of the critiques from people who think he's got it wrong.
Yeah.
And there is so much more going on here than just try harder.
That's the whole point, though. The core idea isn't to try harder. It's almost the exact opposite. It's this idea that trying to make huge, earth-shattering changes is actually where we all fail. The real argument is about the aggregation of marginal gains. It's not the revolution, it's the 1%.
And that is our mission today.
Yeah.
We're going to get past the buzzwords. We've got the book. We've got a pretty spicy review from the International Journal of Social Impact and data from researchers like Dr. Gina Cleo. We're going to figure out the biological machinery of why we do what we do, how to hack it, and then look at why this framework might not actually work for everyone.
And we should probably start with the math, because I think this is the aha moment that really sells the book.
Oh, the 1% rule.
Yeah, but it's also the part that needs a little bit of unpacking.
The math is, honestly, it's staggering. The idea that if you get just 1% better at something every single day for 1 year, you don't end up 2 times better. You end up 37 times better.
It's compound interest. We get it with money. You invest a little bit and it grows. But we never think to apply it to our skills or our health.
But 37 times. That almost sounds fake. Like, if I practice guitar 1% more every day, am I Jimi Hendrix in a year?
Well, it's a model, of course.
Yeah.
But the inverse is what's really scary.
Okay.
If you get 1% worse every day, skip one workout, eat one extra bad meal,
Yep.
you don't just stay the same. You degrade. You slide down to almost zero.
So the curve goes both ways.
It goes both ways. It shows that these tiny habits
Yeah.
are the difference between, exponential growth and this slow, invisible decay.
Wow, that decay idea is terrifying. But to see it in action, like in the real world, we have to talk about British cycling.
The classic case study.
This was my favorite part of the research. So the scene is the early 2000s, and British cycling is, well, it's bad.
Tragically bad.
I mean, they'd won one gold medal in almost 100 years. Bike manufacturers were supposedly embarrassed to sell them bikes.
Right.
And then they hire this guy, Dave Brailsford. And you'd think he comes in screaming, pedal faster.
Right.
But he doesn't do that at all.
No. Brailsford was all about this marginal gains idea. He figured if you break down every single thing that goes into riding a bike and just improve each tiny piece by 1%, the total would be huge.
But the things he improved were so weird. I mean, okay, redesigning the bike seats for comfort makes sense.
Yeah.
Rubbing alcohol on the tires for better grip, sure.
Logical enough.
But then it goes completely off the rails. He hired a surgeon to teach the athletes how to properly wash their hands.
To reduce the chance of getting a cold. If you're sick, you can't race at 100%. It's a 1% loss.
They tested different massage gels for muscle recovery. But my absolute favorite, and you mentioned this, they painted the inside of the team truck stark white.
I love this detail. Why?
So they could spot little specks of dust. Because if dust got into the bike skiers, it might degrade performance by a fraction of a percent.
It sounds obsessive. It sounds like madness.
It sounds totally crazy. But here's the kicker. 5 years later at the Beijing Olympics, the British team wins 60% of the available gold medals. Then in London, they break 9 Olympic records, 7 world records. They went from a laughingstock to the most dominant force in the sport. All because of hand washing and white paint.
And that leads to a really provocative idea that Clear pushes, which is we need to stop focusing on goals.
Which just feels wrong. Isn't set big goals like rule number 1 of success?
Well, Clear argues goals are actually overrated. Think about the Olympics. Every single athlete has the goal of winning gold.
Right.
Winners and losers have the same goal. So the goal can't be the thing that makes the difference.
That's a really good point. If I want a promotion and the person next to me wants the same promotion, the goal is irrelevant. It's a wash.
Exactly. The difference is the system. The goal is your destination. The system is the vehicle you use to get there. Brailsford didn't just stare at a gold medal. He built a system for spotting dust.
And goals are temporary, right? You run the marathon and then
Right.
the motivation is gone.
And if you don't achieve it, you feel like a failure. But this connects to the even deeper layer, identity. Clear has these 3 layers of change: outcomes, process, and identity.
And most of us start with the outcome. I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to write a book.
Right. But the most powerful change is identity-based. It's the difference between saying, I want to quit smoking, and saying, I am not a smoker.
I found that language point fascinating. If someone offers you a cigarette and you say, no thanks, I'm trying to quit, you're still identifying as a smoker who is struggling.
But if you say, no thanks, I'm not a smoker, you've completely reframed your own reality.
It's a shift in who you believe you are.
And it's not about being delusional. Clear frames it as casting votes. Every single action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become.
So I don't have to be perfect. I just have to cast more votes for runner than for couch potato.
That's it. It's a democracy of the self. Go to the gym, that's 1 vote. Skip it, that's a vote for the other side. You just need to win the election.
Okay, so we've got the philosophy, marginal gains, systems, identity. But let's get into the mechanics. How do we actually do this? The book breaks down the habit loop.
This is straight out of behavioral psychology. It's a 4-step loop: cue, craving, response, and reward.
So it's basically Pavlov's dog. The bell rings, the dog salivates.
Essentially, yeah. The cue triggers your brain. The craving is the motivation. The response is the actual habit. And the reward satisfies the craving. Clear built his 4 laws of behavior change to hack each of those steps.
Let's break them down. Law number 1 is for the cue. Make it obvious.
And this is where most of us fail because we're too vague. We say, I'm going to work out more. What does that even mean?
Right, your brain has no idea what to do with that.
You need what's called an implementation intention. It's just a simple formula. I will do behavior at time and location.
It takes the decision out of it. It's not if you'll work out, it's just the plan. I will run at 7 a.m. in the park.
But even more powerful, I think, is habit stacking. You anchor a new habit to an old one.
Oh, I've tried this. After I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. The coffee is the cue. I'm going to do it anyway, so I just hitch a ride on that existing habit.
It works because that pathway in your brain is already built. But the most dramatic part of make it obvious is environment design.
The Vietnam study, this absolutely blew my mind.
It's a profound story. Back in the 70s, a huge percentage of U.S. soldiers in Vietnam were using heroin. And the government was terrified that when they all came home, there'd be this massive addiction crisis.
Which makes total sense. Heroin is incredibly addictive. You assume once you're hooked for life.
But that's not what happened. When the soldiers came home, about 90% of them just stopped. Almost overnight. No rehab, no major withdrawal. They just stopped.
Because the environment changed.
Exactly. All the cues were gone. The stress of war, their friends using, the easy access, all vanished. It really challenges the idea that bad habits are just about a lack of willpower. So much of it is just about where you are.
So if you want to stop at eating cookies, don't just try to resist them. Stop buying them. Get the cue out of your house.
It's easier to design a better environment than to summon more willpower.
Okay, law 2. Make it attractive. This is about the craving, and this is all about dopamine.
The currency of desire, yeah. And the interesting thing is your brain releases more dopamine in anticipation of a reward than from actually getting it. The buzz is from seeing the chocolate, not just from eating it.
So we have to hack that anticipation. Clear talks about temptation bundling.
It's basically what your grandma used to say. You can have dessert after you eat your broccoli.
But you do them at the same time. There was this engineer who loved Netflix but hated exercising, so he hacked his stationary bike.
Oh, I remember this.
Netflix would only play if he was pedaling at a certain speed. If he slowed down, the show paused.
It's genius. He's bundling a want Netflix with a need exercise. And suddenly, he's craving his workout because it's the only way to find out what happens next.
Okay, moving on to law 3. Make it easy. This is for the response, and this one speaks to me on a spiritual level.
Because we're all fundamentally lazy. It's not a moral failing, it's biology. The law of least effort. We're wired to conserve energy.
So we have to reduce the friction, and the best way is the 2-minute rule.
This is the one I use the most.
Yeah.
You just scale any habit down so it takes less than 2 minutes to do.
But wait, how does that help? If my goal is to run a marathon, running for 2 minutes just feels pointless. It feels like a trick.
It is a trick, but it's a necessary one. You have to establish the habit before you can improve it. Run 5 miles is daunting. You might not even start. But put on running shoes and step outside. Anyone can do that.
It's about paying the showing up tax.
Right. And once you're outside with your shoes on, you'll probably run. But even if you don't, you've reinforced the identity. You're the person who shows up. It's about winning those tiny, decisive moments.
The fork in the road. When you
Yeah.
get home from work, you have maybe 10 seconds to decide. Gym clothes or couch?
And that choice dictates the next 2 hours of your life.
Okay, finally, law 4. Make it satisfying. The reward. And the problem here is that our brains evolve for immediate returns. We want the reward now.
But all the good habits, working out, saving money, are delayed return. The payoff is years away.
So we have to find a way to trick our brains into feeling good now.
You bring the reward forward. A simple way is tracking, the paperclip strategy. A sales rep had 2 jars, one full of paper clips, one empty.
And every time he made a sales call, he'd move one clip over.
Yeah, it's a tiny, visual proof of progress. Moving that clip feels good. It gives you a little hit of satisfaction that closes the loop. And that leads to the golden rule of all this.
Never miss twice.
Exactly. Life happens, you're going to miss a day.
Missing once is an accident.
Missing twice is the start of a new bad habit. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to get back on track quickly.
Okay, so the system sounds pretty airtight, but I have to play devil's advocate here because I've tried this stuff. And there's always that period where you're doing everything right and nothing is happening.
Ah, yes. The valley of disappointment.
It's so demoralizing. The book uses that ice cube analogy. You're in a room that's 25 degrees, you heat it to 26, nothing happens. 27, 28, 29. Still just a block of ice. It feels totally useless.
But it's not. You're storing potential energy. And then you hit 32 degrees, and suddenly it melts. It looks like an overnight success, but all the real work happened in those early degrees.
That's a comforting thought, but let's get to the critiques, because not everyone buys into this clean, perfect progress model. We found notes from Dr. Gina Cleo, a habit researcher, and she points out that the whole 1% better math is, well, it's a metaphor.
It is a metaphor.
Yeah.
And we have to be clear on that. Human progress is not a spreadsheet. It's messy. Some days you go backward. And Dr. Cleo says that if you hold yourself to that perfect linear standard, you might just quit when reality hits.
It also brings up the timeline myth. We've all heard it takes 21 days to form a habit.
Or 66 days, yeah. It's
Yeah.
mostly pop psychology nonsense.
Yep.
The actual research shows it can take anywhere from 18 days to like 254 days. It just depends.
And then there's the big one, the critique from the International Journal of Social Impact.
Yeah.
The privilege argument.
This is probably the most important critique. The book is very focused on individual agency. It assumes you can control your environment.
Right.
But if you're working 3 jobs and living in a tiny apartment with 3 other people, you can't just design your environment for healthy eating.
Make it easy is great advice if you can afford a Peloton or a meal prep service. But for so many people, the friction isn't psychological, it's structural, it's systemic.
Exactly. We have to be careful not to use a framework like this to victim blame. It also doesn't really account for things like neurodivergence, ADHD, or trauma, which fundamentally change how your brain forms habits.
So it's a powerful toolkit, but it is not a Bible.
It's not a one-size-fits-all solution. And one last pushback. The whole forget goals thing, does that really hold up?
Good question.
I mean, no, research is pretty clear that you need a goal to set the direction. A system without a goal is just pointless activity. The goal is the compass. The system is how you walk. You need both.
So it's not systems over goals, it's systems for goals.
That's the nuance, exactly.
All right, let's wrap this up. We've gone from microscopic dust in a truck to dopamine in our brains. We've talked about why overnight success is a myth and stared into the valley of disappointment.
For me, the biggest takeaway is just to lower the bar. We're so obsessed with being great that we never start. So stop trying to be great. Just be 1% better. Just put your shoes on.
And for you listening, remember that knowing all this is only potential power. So here's the challenge. Pick one tiny thing, not a life overhaul. One thing you can stack on top of your coffee tomorrow morning.
Drink a glass of water. Do 2 push-ups. Make it obvious. Make it easy. And just see what happens.
Before we go, I want to leave you with one last idea I found in a discussion thread about the book. It's this concept called decoupling.
I saw that. It's a mental shift, isn't it?
It's a huge mental shift. It asks, can you separate your feelings from your actions? We usually only feel successful when we see a result, right? When the number on the scale goes down.
Right. We need that external validation.
But true discipline is decoupling how you feel from what you do. You do the work even when you feel like you're failing.
You show up even when you feel like a loser.
Exactly. Success isn't about feeling like a winner every day. It's about being the person who never misses twice, even when you're freezing at 29 degrees in that valley of disappointment, and the results are completely invisible.
Because if you just stay in the room, eventually the ice will melt.
Thanks for diving in deep with us. We'll see you next time.